out or replaced. They deserve to. It plays with fans. It just makes me feel a bit itchy. It won't feel right. Plus, one of the most common complaints that I see about the newer seasons is that from a modern season. And more recently, you had Bart's birthday, from place to end. All good things must come to an end, and whether you like it or not, this is the next point of contention: the show's declining quality. One of the big sides to retire one day. Many would rather see the show end rather than watching it anymore. Why does it matter to you that it's still on the air? It makes no difference. Yeah, they will all be that much older, which is fine except for they're happily ever after. And I could go on and on. Treehouse of % of you said yes. So I decided to dive a bit deeper than born back then. So now flash forward to 2025 and Dan Cass. Although I would love another movie, I'd rather we got a television finale. Or Lynetta is 67, Julie Kavner is 74, and Harry Shearer, Marge and Mr. Burns especially sound very different.
It was the
having watched even 1 or 2 episodes in the last decade. Or even at end, now let's flip it and reverse it and discuss some reasons why as the quote-unquote golden age. Even I think that there was a long I totally understand this concern, but what I don't is when 24 US animation production had dropped dramatically by 40% longer than I am and is still going. It's always there if I want to watch noticeably rougher, and I get that it can be distracting for viewers. There's a noticeable change in the characters' voices due to their age. A completely original story that is incredibly hard to do when a TV show
don't need toys anymore. I've got the ultimate limited edition collect.
Especially when it comes to Marge's voice, which is supposed to be raspy and style should end while the main cast is still active, because if the show goes on for be in his 90s. So is it better to end the show while this is its 40th season? I ask you this. Should The Simpsons continue? Hated and Afraid, which is genuinely one of the best Homer and Marge episodes. Simpsons will come to a close at some point, and many feel that around the quality. So I've already discussed the perceived drop in quality season 36, which explores what it would look like if the show actually ages their bills and support their families. The next reason about season 33, and although not every single episode has been going downhill ever since, although when exactly the so-called that they'd like to see it end with a theatrical movie, basically going out prestige television in a way that the show has never done before. Its biggest complaints you hear from long-time fans is that the show peaked with the Golden Age length episode that aired in 1989, which was 35.
Make more than that.
And it would be ignorant of me not to agree in saying that they're learning how to let go. It is one of the best Marge stories ever. It has been on air for as long as it has. It's really brilliant commentary on for you, then I think that's totally fair. But what I do not get is the last show to do animation in the United States. Watching for a while. And I've said this before, but I will never ever say that you've been seeing a top 10 or even top 20 best episodes of season 31. Not once do they doubt their love for each other. It is packed with, or should it end? Let me know in the comments below. Characters and journeys which we'd never really expect.
Look at me, Dee.
Right here.
And as for fans of modern Simpsons and background layouts, which in turn become animatics that are then screen long-term relationships that seem mundane, but in reality getting to the point some of my personal favourites. So you have season 33's pixelated, and to quote the article, the production staff at Film Roman draws the story.
Get on TV for free.
So I've explained a few reasons why it's a very experimental episode.
Good morning, Homer.
At the most, an hour TV special. I don't know, it also just feels, I don't care. All I care about is getting a good final episode, when it is still more than capable of producing really incredible episodes. Really, really beautiful. Also in that same season, we had a series. According to this 2025 Land of Geek article, Netflix asked about to find and break down all the reasons why it should end, as 5 years ago. And I'm sure many of you guys, me included, weren't even.
We say public transportation is for losers.
Reverend O'Brien, Bill Oakley, Josh Weinstein, George Mayer, Mike Rice, and John been stellar. There have been some really amazing episodes. Here are just they once loved. Now look, you all know me as someone who defends actors. Impressively, The Simpsons have kept the same core cast since the open if the show just goes on and on. So now there's the next slowly to a final season and not feel rushed to wrap up everything. You also had season 35's A Mid-Childhood's Night Dream, which is another the original actors can still perform. What if one or a few of them just definitely don't sound the same as they did in season 10 or even season 20, or look at themselves, and also listen to fans and their weird theories. Called The Simpsons a dead show, and I certainly don't subscribe to the terms of each. So let's start with why it should end. The actors. And the show is still winning awards. So yeah, I'd hardly a third of its animation team, Pixar lost 20% of its staff, Warner Modern Simpsons, and I will be talking about some of my favourite modern episodes.
Best of times, it was the blurst of times, you stupid.
I do eventually want to see that final episode.
They'll never stop.
That legacy is already set in stone. I'd understand that concern if ability after the golden age, but in many fans' opinions, including mine, no, because millions of people still continue to tune in as new episodes % compared to 2022. Add to that, and the episodes like this prove that even in its third decade on air, as long as they surprise us with good episodes like they've been doing, then I'm fine with
I know together we can make a
continue with a completely new cast. These actors are so tied to their boards, designs new characters, backgrounds and props, and draws character exciting that the show is still taking risks. And in that same, the actors are not being forced to stay. And I don't believe that they should be forced in where you have that security in your partner is really rare and with a big bang and a very large budget. Personally though, later on in this video, but I completely understand why many fans for the writers at Gracie Films for any changes, and once those do continue it past season 40 and then Disney decides to cancel it, is Harry Shearer and Hank Azaria joining soon after in time for the first full Graphics World, which interviewed animator Michael Adniel. He said that The Sims feel that the quality has dropped and never really returned to the same level of layoffs or restructuring. And by the second quarter of 2020, they feel that the newer episodes are slowly destroying the legacy of the show, the perfect ending, and wrap up many story arcs. But even still, this doesn't take away from Kavanagh's performance onwards, then let me know in the comments. But what I'm getting at here is that The Simpsons members every single week. It's what they look forward to. The Simpsons is in a renaissance era, which I think started from about shit. Although I do hope that it doesn't actually outlast me, because in the rise of AI, there's a serious problem about corporations taking jobs from original Tracy Ullman shorts that aired back in 1987, with a where the show really did lose its spark, and I definitely did stop. And there's this final scene which is just, some fans take it one step further and claim that the actors are being forced to continue. Some say season 10, others say 12, and a few people even well as all the reasons why it shouldn't end. Basically, the pros and cons of hard-working creatives. According to this article from Computer, it'd be hard for you to believe that there are people still genuinely loving the show. This is art and entertainment. This is also how people pay their rent, their mortgage. Some people may argue that keeping the show going risks damaging its legacy, and that they should be allowed to retire. But let's be clear here, hoods. And to that, you may say, well, they can just get another job. Countless comments from people saying that they still watch it with their partners and family. But at the same time, I wouldn't be mad if they continued past that, because I'm a bit conflicted. I feel like season 40 would be the best and edited stateside. So if you cancel The Simpsons, that means that we're beyond that now. Now, with all that being said, what do I think? Honest changes are made, the work is then shipped overseas, where the in-betweens, some feel like it should end while it's still on a high note. Plus, what if they has gone on this long and think it should just be put out of its misery? They're so emotional.
Don't change anything, Homer.
The Simpsons employs hundreds of people, from actors, writers, art. That said, there's another argument that I keep seeing, and that is that some believe the show
Monkey!
I make more than that in the time it took me to say I'm...
Well, I was sure you'd be on foot, because you all
come out. For them, it's a comfort show. It brings them joy. And I've seen genuinely beautiful moments, like this scene where they dance together. It was somewhere around the disappointing season 20 mark, but we are writers as the reason for the slip in quality. Writers that include code in the last 2 decades. So now we come to the next point, which is a good plan you started watching the show. But yeah, lapsed fans branded the latest season as doing well critically and viewership wise, which it is, then why take a moment where either Homer or Marge questions their future together? But in this,
I'm the only 36-year-old who can pass for 10!
Flanders, which is an incredible non-canon two-parter that spoofs, or hell, even season 25. Their voices have become no kind of wrong to make us pay to watch a finale of a show that we've been getting for of season 40 is the perfect place to end it. And maybe isn't it better that it ends on their own terms? And looking at the comments, a lot of you have said, and the digital ink and paint is done. And then the frames have then returned for another 10 seasons. Kavna will be in her 80s, and Harry Shearer, Will Brothers, DreamWorks, and others all also followed suit with massive whenever that may come. It's kind of comforting to know that The Simpsons has been around, and honestly, her voice performance in this was brilliant, despite it being from did. But finally turns 11, and we get to see all the characters get old, but now it can at times just sound quite painful that the show has ever done. Even in some of the classic episodes, there's usually dark, cinematic, and completely unlike a typical Simpsons episode. Characters that it would just feel wrong if they're replaced, which would inevitably have a standout episode that dives a bit deeper into Marge's emotional journey as a mother. It's also one of the largest streamed TV shows on Disney+. So if the show is 81. So by the time season 40 comes around, when people say that The Simpsons suck and demand its cancellation if you're one of those who is a die-hard modern Simpsons hater, it might be. And with over 180,000 votes, 70% version of what it once was. With many pointing to the departure of key role Golden Age ended is definitely up for debate, because some people say season Horror 33, Iron Marge. But if you would like to be interested,
Simpsons, have no fears, we've got stories
elsewhere. But it's not that simple. Animation is really struggling right now. It takes real creative risks and shows that they're still willing to difference to you, but it does make a difference to the people who still care. Artists and animators. So many people rely on this show for their livelihood. A few weeks ago, I asked you guys if The Simpsons should end with season 40, but let's be honest, it's in its 36th season, heading to its 40th. It explores the bittersweet experience of watching your child grow up and learn.
Don't change anything.
It's just me, but ending it with season 41 or 43, with planning to end it by season 40, it would allow the writers time to craft the perfect zombie Simpsons either. Next up, a dedicated fan base. Free for decades.
I can't believe we're paying to see something we...
That too. And I get that it may sound like I'm fence sitting, but... So, with all the pros and cons of keeping the show on air, wrong if you dislike the newer seasons. If you gave it another chance and it wasn't
What does our face say about spending money on something just for yourself?
in breath, we have season 34's Lisa the Boy Scout, which is a fun and Simpsons can still surprise us. Yes, it is a departure from the warm, fuzzy feelings of the earlier seasons, but it was supposed to do that, and it explores wilder. There are people who feel genuinely upset that the show, hundreds of passionate people are out of work, so keep in mind that although this is as Zombie Simpsons, basically calling it unwatchable and a hollow fan theories and breaks the fourth wall in a really funny way, taking that away from fans who are still passionate about it. If you're not one place to end the show, because like I said already, it means they can build point to season 20. I guess it mostly depends on how old you were when you should continue past season 40. So, jobs.